Hello, everybody. My name's John. I'm the co-founder of Source 2050. This is our second component spotlight on the accelerator, and we're really excited about it. The first time we kind of gave an overview of what we are, what we do, and highlighted some of the products that people have heard about, know about, are not easy to find, that come up time and time again. And we're really excited about the product selection that we pulled together. It's now over 600 products, focusing on envelope fenestrations and mechanicals. A lot of great brands. And it's been a really amazing year plus since we've launched. We are an e-commerce site, so people are coming on and using the filters that we've created to go into a category, put in your building requirements, what your perm rating is, what your fire rating is, what certifications you need, and be able to go through all of these products and narrow them down to the products that actually will meet the spec. And then for the build team to be able to take that list of products that the design team has found and identified as complying and then purchase directly from us. So we, as in addition to being an e-commerce site that you can just go on and purchase anything that's there directly, you can also set up a meeting with our team, with Shannon Pendleton. Everyone I think on this community knows well. Is happy to have an initial meeting, go through with the design team, see what you're after, what goals you have in mind, what obstacles there might be, and start to help you navigate the product selection, see what your approach is going to be for envelope, start to show you some of the fenestration options we have that might be a good fit, start to pull together requests for quotes for custom products. And then as the project moves along and the build team gets engaged, we sort of hand off internally to Justin, who will then work with the build team to do takeoffs, figure out what the job site logistics are. If you have plenty of storage and you just want to get everything on site as soon as possible, that's great. If it's a city block and you've got no storage and everything has to be staged out, kind of just in time, we can do that too. But the goal is always to find each of these products as close to the job site as possible. So it's the shortest possible supply chain, least amount of carbon to get it to you, and hopefully most cost effective. So we've been really excited about both the projects that we've been working on, the customers that have been finding us and buying products from us, as well as learning about new products. And that's what we really wanted to focus on today, are 4 products that we thought kind of check the boxes of innovative products that may not be as familiar, but we think are really important for the community to know about, that are there, that we're really proud to feature. Shannon is showing you as we walk through, just sort of navigating the site, some of the products that you probably are familiar with that are available through the site. The first of the 4 that we want to talk about today is a really exciting product. It was one of the first conversations we had after we launched, a really innovative company out of the UK called Coltraco Ultrasonics. They were actually a British naval patents underlying the technology that was being used for water tightness and air tightness for naval ships for many years. And during COVID, the NHS system realized that the technology could be used for test for quarantine wards at hospitals. So they kind of re-commercialized the technology into an air tightness technology, and was successfully able to use that to ensure that quarantine wards were airtight. And then luckily someone there identified that there was an equal need in the built environment to test for airtightness. And then they realized that not only could they just detect leaks at an incredibly accurate rate, but they could actually measure them. So this is a video of me and Kevin, you know well, doing a demonstration. You essentially have a speaker that's it there, little tiny handheld generator that you put outside the building that blankets the exterior with ultrasonic waves. And you're inside with a microphone, you can see in my hand, the magic wand, we like to call it, attached to a computer sensor that lets you listen for any ultrasonic sound that can get through. That will indicate that there is an air leakage. As you can see, I think right here, usually the hinge side is tighter. You go over to where the hardware is, and there you've got a problem. So that's, you know, where to pay attention. It's incredibly exciting because you don't need to pressurize. And you don't have to kick off the trades. You don't have to stop work. You can do this repeatedly throughout the process. We have a lot of manufacturers using it now, window and prefab and panel companies using it before it leaves the shop to make sure that's tight. We have installers using it to make sure that everything is tight when they finish their work. And then for the build team itself, when the membranes are finished, when everything is installed, before the drywall is up, so when you still have access to fix anything that you find, it's a really, really incredible technology. And then obviously preparing for the blower door. And then if there is a problem with the blower door, being able to go back through and pinpoint exactly where the problem was. So it's very, very exciting. You can see there, this is there's two models. This is the full suite model that allows you not just to detect, but actually quantify the leaks and then calculate a perm. And then if you put in your cubic volume, square footage, and some other inputs, you can actually generate an ACH for that condition. There's also a scaled down model, which is just to detect. It's not meant to quantify. It's a bit cheaper. It's essentially just the progress meter. So it's just as sensitive. It's the same underlying technology, but it's just meant to detect the leaks. And this is great for your air boss, for your trades that just want to double check before they move on. So that's one that we think is really exciting. Even outside of Passive House, we now have HERS raters using it. We've been talking with ResNet. There's a lot of opportunity there. We just think it's an invaluable tool. The UK team is working with PHI in London, I believe, to do a pilot project where they can compare what they're calculating for ACH to actual blower door results for a variety of buildings, all towards the ultimate goal to show that this is potentially a replacement or an alternative to a blower door. Obviously, there's a lot of data that has to get collected and a lot of people that have to be convinced before we could ever get there. But even as it sits now, it's an incredible device. And we're really happy to have it on Source 2050. So that was one product that we thought was worthy of a showcase. The other thing that we've found is that as a marketplace, we're bringing products on that don't necessarily know about each other, haven't thought about how they might be able to work together, which allows us to create wall packages where you can do your everything from your rain screen to your insulation to your membrane. With even if those products are coming from multiple vendors, we can pull that together as a solution set. But we're also seeing our products that we carry that can work together really well. And Shannon's going to talk to you a little bit about this initiative where we have identified the Alpen Windcert, which is an incredible inboard storm window that you install inside of the existing window that gives you close to passive rating without any demolition, without pulling permits, without having to remove residents. So it's a really exciting technology for retrofits, for local 197, for other compliance that we think is exciting on its own. We're happy to have that. But we also have the Gradient PTAC replacement system, which is saddle mounted. That goes over the window frame. And we identified that, well, what if we were able to figure out if these could work together well? So you could install the saddle mount to upgrade your HVAC, and then the Windcert sitting on top of it. How would that work out? It would give you an all-in-one, upgrade your windows and your HVAC in one place. And Shannon has been working on a pilot project that she's going to tell you a little about now. Shannon.
Thanks, John. Fantastic. It's always fun to browse through the products. And, we have so many vendors on the site and we onboard new vendors every day. So if you don't see someone on here that you want to see on here, please let us know and reach out anytime. We'd love to hear about your projects. And so I'll show you what we did to pair this Alpen Windcert Plus window unit with this Gradient unit. I did this with my brother not far from here on a cottage that we have on our property. So this is the Gradient unit going over the windowsill in this tenant cottage. This little cottage is over 200 years old. So right now, the heating and cooling, they needed some help. And this Gradient unit is so much quieter and so much prettier to look at than any of the other units on the market. It was very easy to install. We installed it within a matter of minutes, and it's incredibly quiet. The tenant loves it, and he said it performs beautifully. It really doesn't even vibrate. And what you're looking at here on the left is just the gradient unit in the existing window. And you can see some of the sealing that they sent along, some of the gaskets they sent along to air seal where your existing window remains open and where this PTAC unit goes over the windowsill. On the right, what you're seeing is the Alpen Windsert unit installed on top of that gradient unit. And what was fantastic about this is it made the window look so much better. This window is a single pane of glass. It doesn't even have ropes in it. It's so old. It's completely historic. So it's very leaky, very drafty, and very historic. We really don't want to rip it out. We do love it, even though it's terribly inefficient. So putting the Windsert unit on top of it took it to a whole new level. You can see how pretty the gasket is on the edge. It's much prettier than the black gasketing that we had there previously. And the seal on the edge is incredibly tight. We would need suction cups to take this out if we didn't have the space right here on the left and right, which we are about to fill with some thermal break material through compact foam or any of our other thermal break material suppliers. But I'm bearing the lead because before we installed the Windsert unit, the PTAC unit was running beautifully, but you can see how cold this window was on a nice day. And so that's our single pane of glass. This is within minutes of installing this window. We went up 15 degrees, and as we waited even longer, we went up about 20 degrees almost instantly. So I'm taking a window that is beautiful and historic, but horribly inefficient, almost to passive house levels. And the Windsert unit was very light. It was very easy to install. There's two clips on the top, and you insert the top head of the window in and push it into place, and you're done. We had it in just a couple of minutes. So thanks for listening to that. I'm here to answer questions about it later, or you can grab a time with me online by looking in the chat and scheduling a time. And I'm going to hand it off to Justin to talk about Blaugelb, because that's another new vendor who has some really fantastic products that we're excited to tell you about.
Thanks, Shannon. Yeah, I thought we'd bring up Blaugelb trilotherm profiles today. These are external insulation profiles that you can install the window over to hang the window outside of the thermal plane. So this is a window connection solution, and we know where there's connections, there's usually problems. So there's no field fabricating. You order these to size. They all lock together with a tongue and groove system, and then the windows can hang outboard of the insulation layer. Later on, this all gets infilled with insulation and works brilliantly together. Blaugelb also offers a whole host of products for sealing the windows and installing windows. You can see in the next profile, there's an expanding foam tape, which is a great solution for around the windows at the point of installation for both weather and air. There it is. Yeah. So Blaugelb has been a great partner, and they're providing shipping free of charge for a limited time. So come check it out and place your order.
Yeah, just to underline a couple things there. Blaugelb is a great company. It's typical of a lot of European manufacturers that we're talking with now that have been, in Europe for many, many years and have frankly kind of been skeptical about the US market, but are now seeing some real activity. And it looks like, we're starting to build properly over here. And so they're really excited to bring their products into the market, and Source 2050 has been really happy to have them and make them available here. And we're seeing more and more of that European companies. I think Michael's meeting a few over there at PHI in Innsbruck. And it just shows kind of the movement in the US market that European manufacturers are looking to get involved, which is great to see. The next one is the other development that we're seeing, and a good example of the other development we're seeing, which is U.S. Startups and manufacturers domestically tackling issues in high energy efficient construction. This is Climate Adhesives, which we've just onboarded, the most recent company. We think it's a really interesting product, and Justin's going to tell you a little bit more about how it works.
Thanks, John. So here is a non-slump high performance adhesive and sealant. And this is made for high wind and hurricane areas, so that in addition to fastening your clips and everything in your framing members, if you use this glue, which is no VOCs, it's has very little impact on the environment. This will keep the building from moving and racking, and also keep the building from cracking the sill plates or anything like that in the foundation layer. It basically makes the building 250% stronger and than it normally would be in a storm environment. So a really cool way to sort of make your building more resilient, especially in coastal and high wind areas. They also have some other products that we can see here that are basically made for, oh, sorry, the next one.
Yeah.
So they have some self-leveling products for masonry, and they also have, sorry, the next slide, Shannon.
Sorry, it's loading, Justin. There you go.
Who's driving?
I know who's driving.
Yeah,
Okay.
so this is awesome when you have concrete construction. So if you need to glue concrete to concrete, or if you have to transition from concrete to wood framing or other situations, this is also another way of getting that high performance connection, which is much stronger and much more structurally able to handle high wind loads and movement and things like that. It's also can be used for rooftop penetrations and sealing different types of junction boxes, whether it's on the wall or on the roof.
Great.
So really cool, innovative product from a cool new company that we're happy to be showcasing here. So if you're interested or you have an application, please reach out to us, and we'd love to discuss your application and recommend the right product.
Thanks, Justin. Kim, I have not been watching the chat. Do we have any questions, or can we throw it out to folks who are joining us today to see what they're working on?
We have, I think, 2 questions. Sean, did you want to start with that?
Yeah, Beth had a quick one where she just wanted to know about the video that John and Kevin were in. But Beth always has other questions, so maybe Beth, did you have anything else that
I appreciate that, Sean. No, I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, no, great link. Check it out. Kim had it in there, so you can see all about how that really cool system that John was showcasing was there. And then over to our good friend Bev. Bev had a question.
Hey, Beth.
Hey, Shannon, I was talking to NYCHA because of course the gradient comes sort of out of their procurement. They love it, by the way, the first ones that they have. The tenants like the extra space, so they're like reinforcing it because people keep putting plants on it, which is, I mean, like the big worry to me is like, it looks like it's getting in the way, but if you find it a useful space, that's awesome. They mentioned, besides the insert that you use the example of, that they are working with a window manufacturer that's actually building a slot for the gradients to go into that's already gasketed. Do you know what window company that is, and do you guys carry that?
Actually, we were the ones who asked them to do that. It is still Alpen Windsor. They were willing to create a custom profile that goes over that saddle part. We were
like a window replacement, an actual window replacement.
Oh, the full window, a whole window.
Yeah,
not an insert.
Right.
No, I don't, Bev. I don't. But that's great to hear.
Because I mean, they have a lot of, in older public housing, when the windows have been drooping for years, because you've had a window AC in there, like they just have to replace them. So I know it's a
Exactly.
double hung high performance. I'll find out what it is and let you guys know, but
That'd be terrific.
yeah.
Because the power of pairing these two things together, you immediately take care of the 30 weakest percent of your envelope, and then you're swapping out the systems within 45 minutes or less. You don't have to do any demo, no permit pulling, no dust, and no moving the tenants out.
Right.
So it's a pretty big deal when it comes to retrofitting a building that has those kinds of constraints. And, you know, I think all of us have seen retrofit projects where keeping the tenants happy is priority number one. So I can't imagine keeping them happier than having suddenly a very clean window that's very easy to clean, that changes your temperature instantly. And that gradient unit is awesome. The tech and the app that run it, you can run the whole thing off your phone. It's super simple. And like I said, super quiet.
And I know their first version, because the New York market didn't need it, was not cold climate, but I think they have a cold climate version one now,
They
right?
do. And you know, it's interesting. I have the one that's not cold climate, and it performed beautifully this winter. And we had a pretty cold winter this winter. So, you know, I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm in New Hope, right between Philadelphia and New York. And it did not struggle. It did not fail. So the tenant was very comfortable. He's given us rave reviews. He's a firefighter, and he is a tenant I want to keep happy because I want to make sure he can do his job and gets a good night's sleep, and then his machines aren't keeping him awake at night because they're too loud.
So I see Todd said that Alpen also has a retrofit window. Todd, do you know though if it has like a slot for the gradient to go through and then like the casement over the top?
It probably would not be good for that application, but there might be something that Alpen can do. It's just important to note that, you know, for just basic retrofits that Alpen does provide, you know, a retrofit window. It's largely the same product.
Yeah. And the fact that they were willing to do the profile for the windsert makes me think that it makes sense that it's Alpen doing the retrofit window too.
I think maybe it's Intus. Intus? Is that? Yeah.
Intus.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my notes.
Thank you.
And Shannon, they also mentioned where they have through wall ACs historically, you know, obviously masonry buildings, they've got a lot of steam heated. They've been putting in a Polka.
That's this unit right here, Bev.
Cool.
Yeah, through the wall. And so all of this is already super insulated, already airtight. So you can swap out a through the wall unit very easily. And it was the Italian manufacturer rebranded for the US, and that's where they came in with Effica as their new name. And it's a fantastic unit. They have a number of different options though. So this is the vertical unit, which goes nicely in a closet on an exterior wall as well, if you don't want to look at it. And you can see a lot of the cool layouts that they have done if it's even more inboard than the exterior wall and how they do the ventilation. But it's a beautiful product. And they have the wall mounted Pro, the regular wall mounted. They have a ceiling ducted, a ceiling suspended, and then that vertical stack. So, you know, if you can't house it, but you want to put it behind soffit and grill it, you can do it right there without any ducts at all. If you want to add ductwork, you can do the same thing and add ductwork. But that's a beautiful unit. The first time I saw this was the FIAS conference in Tarrytown, upstate New York. They were there. So if you haven't seen it in person, we'd love to show it to you online. Does anybody have any questions about projects they're working on, solutions they wish they could figure out, or any products we've shown today?
Sharon, Shannon, Aaron Jones just had a question. So Aaron, come on and you can ask about, again, us up here in the Great White North of Canada. We had a question about product sourcing. So.
Hi, Aaron.
Hi. I was just wondering if we were going to be able to get those in Canada anytime soon. anybody had done, you know, the CSA requirements, or maybe somebody's already got it sorted out, but it's a great solution for, you know, swapping out existing units that are already wall mounted. And I just like to put the tool in my toolbox if it's available.
I hear that. And one of the filters that we're looking to put on Source 2050 is not only the Made in America filter, so you can shop locally if you want to, but also the Canadian UL listing. So that if you're in Canada, you can just click that filter and be like, what products do you have that are UL listed in Canada? Just take me to all of those right away. So, you know, we're working on those for version 2, and I can't answer your question right now, Aaron, but I'll find out and let you know. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Perfect. Or we can play elephant telephone and you can tell Sean and Sean can tell me.
John might know right now. I think John has something to say.
Either way, I
was gonna say-
appreciate it, Shannon.
Yeah. I would say I do believe they are available in Canada. We at Source 2050 have not gotten an order into Canada yet, so I haven't had to cross that bridge yet. But if you wouldn't mind, Aaron, if you could just drop me a note at John at Source 2050, I will find that out for you. If you shot me a note or remind me to get the answer for you.
Appreciate that, John.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Aaron, I think so my plumber, Dispatch Plumbing, I think they've installed one, and I know Chris Hill was also looking into it. So I'm pretty sure there's a couple of those models here in the West Coast that are installed. So
So
but
you're
I'll,
going to want the cold climate one for sure.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's funny in Vancouver, we're climate zone 4, so we'd be okay with without it. But again, you go to Whistler, with just like, you know, 45 minutes away, and you'd want it. So
It's a little higher
I'm on
up
the other
there.
coast and we're 6A, and Fool Spring is in full effect today.
Oh, nice. It looks like you're seeing the sun again, which is a nice sight, right? Maybe not too much sun today.
The grass was growing yesterday.
now it's covered in a lovely sheet of white, fluffy water.
Yeah, you might need to put your hoodie up there, Aaron.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for saying hi. And I see a lot of other friendly faces. Thanks for coming today. Anyone
And
else working on a project?
We got some more questions here, Shannon. We got Richard's next.
Hi, Richard. Good to see you.
Sorry, it took me a while to find unmute again. Yeah, I just saw your notice for your upcoming Source 2050 design build workshop. What is a little more context of what that is, or what the objectives are?
John, you want to take
Sure.
that?
Yeah, we try to do these kind of workshops once a month, where the goal is to find out what everyone that's attending is working on and allow us to kind of customize the presentation. We've been working with more and more design build firms. As it described the process, our general process is starting with the design team, building out the spec book, and then handing off to the build team, and then getting into logistics and takeoffs and the rest of it. And it's a little different dynamic with design build. But one point Shannon has made many times is that Source 2050 kind of turns any project into a design build initiative, because we kind of stand between the two and make that communication easier. So the goal with these smaller workshops is we limit the attendees. We ask if you've got a project that you want to talk about, you can send us drawings ahead of time or a narrative about what your struggle is. And it's just a little more intimate kind of space for us to talk through the particulars and learn from each other. And we've had some great experiences there with teams learning from one another as we just talk through the particulars of their projects. And we do those, you know, kind of more once a month. We also have a link that I think is in the chat for one-on-one. If you want to just jump on with us to dig really deep into your project, you want to send drawings ahead of time, we'll prepare and come in ready to dig in and show you how the whole process works. But that is, thanks for mentioning it. That's next Tuesday, April 9th at noon. The link is in the calendar. So in the chat, you can go ahead and click through and claim your spot. So we do try to keep those small. Or if you want to do a one-on-one, there's a separate link for that where you can schedule time on your schedule.
Thank you.
Yeah, great resource. And I mean, for those that are not familiar with Source 2050, I really recommend you check it out. the fact that you can go to an online resource and kind of build your passive house and put all the components in there. And then if you have questions, you've got people like John and Shannon and Justin there. It's an interesting, yeah, let's, you know, again, you think about all the brands that are involved with Source 2050. It's great. I mean, I just started scrolling just in the into the energy monitoring because you know, understanding and being aware of our homes is interesting. So lots of great stuff that's showcased there. Next we've got Chris Goodwin, who's got a question. Chris, you want to hop on?
Yeah, great presentation, guys. Thank you so much. I love this format and it's very informative. Maybe I missed it. I was driving at the time, but I wasn't sure if the Alpen insert is operable or not. So does that allow for the existing window to be still opened or not?
Great question, Chris. So typically it is a passive solution, so it can be removed, but because the friction joint is so strong, they recommend suction cups to take it out. Especially if it's like right now, the one that I showed is on top of a PTAC unit, so I can grab it from the sides and pull it out. But if that wasn't there and this was just in the window, I wouldn't be able to get my finger around any of those seals because they are custom built to match the exact dimensions of your window.
They do have some operable options, but you wouldn't use the operable one in conjunction with the gradient machine. So you basically could order some operable if you need to have, I mean, it wouldn't necessarily be egress, but it would be enough to open the windows.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. If it had to be for egress purpose required by code, they need to be operable. Good to know.
Yeah, this is a question we get a lot. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Sean, what I was sharing before we jumped into that next question is the fact that you can put brands that are in different manufacturing categories right next to each other side by side and compare them with the software on the website. So if you all didn't get a look at that, play with the website, hit compare on some of the products and drop them into a matrix and look side by side across brands by those building science metrics that matter to you and to your project.
One other thing I'll mention is that we've got we're coming into kind of construction season, spring. We have all of our vendors are kind of geared up for it and have some excuse me, some really great pricing right now. Lead times are reasonable generally. And we're looking to do kind of a showcase by the end of the summer. So if you've got a project shovel ready in the ground, ready to move forward, please do reach out because we've got some great opportunities on the products we've got now that are available, that are ready to ship, that we can get quickly. And we'd love to track their progress. By the end of the summer, we want to kind of have a look back and see, what we're able to achieve, profile different projects of different types, multifamily, single family, mixed use, etc. And we're really excited about that. And our vendors are always looking for getting their name out there. So if there are projects that are going to get a lot of PR, if they're affordable housing, if there's government involvement, if they're taking advantage of incentives, whatever it is that sort of drives press and attention, vendors are very, very excited to be involved and to be promoted as participating in those, which can also mean great benefits on the pricing for those projects. So if you have something ready to go in the next few months, this would be a great time to reach out. We've got a whole bunch of supplies ready to move. Do not hesitate.
Have we given them questions? Sean, are there any more?
No, there's just a couple comments, but I think so far. So if you got any more questions, please put in there so we can continue on. Just a kind of follow-up question with just kind of Source 2050 is are you finding any particular product is having more questions than other ones? And are like you seeing any trends in some of the things? And you want to just share some of the trends that you've noticed with Source 2050?
Oh, you're muted, Shannon.
I was saying that's such a great question. This is one, John, that you usually field, but I'll try to paraphrase and then you can add in. We find that our products typically fall into 3 buckets. There's the off the shelf, not a lot of options or just a few options, very easy to put into your cart and order, right? No questions asked. And then there's the middle ground where there's a few options. You might have some questions. Everything on our site has downloadable product declaration sheets or installation instructions, so ways to figure out if it's the right thing. But we are also here to answer those questions for you. But then that third bucket is what we like to call an almost open universe of options and things like windows or ventilation, things that require a little more nuance and understanding a project deeply to be able to help you find maybe out of 6 vendors, who's the best one or the best 3 for you, and how can you put them in a spec book, share that with your team, and allow your team to say, okay, this is the first basis of design. If that one comes in too high or the lead time's too long, here's a second one we'll choose, here's a third one we'll choose. And that way, you know, you're hitting the metrics. You don't have to go back and put a different window in your energy model or, you know, go through landmarks and swap it out because you don't get the historic data you want. But those are the 3 buckets. They seem to all fall into one of those.
Yeah,
And
I
I'd
mean,
say as to particular products, it's always when we've done trade shows and conferences, having the Coltraco out with the magic wand tends to generate a ton of attention and questions. So we get a lot about the limits of what it can do, how it can be used. Particularly, you know, detection is credible, but how can it be used to accurately actually quantify what your leakage is to get to an ACH, and what's that process? So we feel a lot of those kind of more technical questions on the Coltraco.
Yeah, and I think someone made a comment too, is I just think that the multifamily, where a lot of times you can't do a mid-construction test because of the way that multifamily projects are going on, that having that tool where you can do those little quick tests of window openings or around penetrations, and have part of your QC team have a type of device. I think it's really a really good product for the multifamily market for sure, because of just schedules and not being able to close up a big building and having to do some different strategies for your airtightness testing. So really cool
Yeah, and
system.
every project is like that, right? Every project has its own constraints or its own set of goals, that some are flexible and some are fixed. You know, you're going for certification. Do you have to hit landmarks? You know, do you have tenants? Are you existing? And do you have to do modeling? And so reach out, ask us, you know, what you think you want, and then what we think you might want. And we'd be happy to put that spec book together for you so you can share it with your team. And as John mentioned, we are looking for pilot projects. So if you have a project that you want to use Source 2050 for, even if you don't use all of our products, we're happy to just showcase a few with your project. And as you probably know, we are a sister company of House Accelerator. So that ability to showcase your project is always going to be at your disposal, whether you use our products or not. And if you double up, you might even see a pretty healthy savings and be able to go across brands and market your project in not only the accelerator's view, but through the manufacturers that you use.
Yeah, no, great point. I mean, one of the things too that I love seeing is just some brands that I didn't think have now elevated their brand to the high performance world and are providing great resources and are not just your typical product for code building, but they've got even more solutions for high performance, which is again exciting to see. And I think the fact that Source 2050 is able to showcase that brand is pretty good.
Yeah, and you know, influencers who use the product and videotape themselves and show it off. It's funny, I was with a rep the other day and they were talking about how important their influencers are, how important this community is. When you use something, talk about it. Talk about why it works, why it doesn't work, videotape it, and share it with the community, because that's how we all learn. That's how, you know, that's why we're putting this mock-up together here at this cottage at my house. We want to see it work in action and know that it's giving the building science results we're hoping for.
Yeah, great stuff. Mark had a question, but John, did you have a point you want to make?
No, I was looking at the chat as well.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, Mark, over to you.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, thanks. So kitchen ventilation, there are several workarounds to get something that's acceptable to Passive House and still kind of does the ventilation that's needed. Are there new products that I don't know about, or systems that cover both real ventilation where you need it and meeting Passive House standards?
So we are onboarding a product through Active HQ that is a very interesting kitchen hood. It's incubating a little bit still, but it's getting ready to go out on the market full bore. Other than that, I really rely on my mechanical engineer to make recommendations based on what the flows are for the building, right? A little building versus a big building, you're going to have much different makeup air demands. Do you need preheat? What's your climate? Those are the kinds of questions we ask when we onboard, and make sure that whatever mechanicals that we're looking at match the mechanicals that your mechanical engineer is looking at, and that we can help provide the cut sheets, the install instructions. As far as new products, I've seen more new techniques than new products. I've seen some
I'd be
plenums under
interested in
kick
those.
plates in kitchen cabinets for bringing in makeup air. I thought that was pretty creative, but I don't know, Mark, what are you seeing?
Yeah. Well, I'm not seeing enough. I mean, I'm seeing, you know, recirculating hoods, and then a good, you know, ERV, but second, you know, 6 feet plus away. And is that really doing the trick? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're hoping that the unit Shannon mentioned they've been working on it. We're getting an update, I think, in the next week or two. We're hoping that's going to be available soon. It would be recirc, but it is taking a pretty aggressive approach to how it communicates with the rest of the HVAC and the ERV. The kind of insight is that especially for multifamily or apartments, the kitchen hood is the most powerful air filter in your house. It should be part of the conversation about the entire air quality of the building, not just a cooking appliance. It should be part of that system, and it should be able to communicate with the rest of the system. So that's sort of the insight. And we're hoping, they've been working on it for some months now. We're hopeful this summer we'll have a preview.
Wow, that's a great concept. I love that. Putting a really good filter in that, and then coupling it so that maybe the ERV system bumps up when you turn it on. It's beautiful.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. And not only in the recirc side, but in the fresh air intake side as well. Because the more we have an insert that pairs with the ERV, and the more we can get that makeup air preheated if we need it, the easier it is going to be to design this stuff, because it does get tricky. And I don't know about you, but my clients, they want like 600, 800, 1,000, 1,200 CFM. I don't know what they're cooking in there, but it must be pretty stinky. But we want to keep them down at 4, 6 at the way high end for CFM. But there are hood inserts out there that will tie into makeup air. Braun is one of them that we see a lot. And we don't carry really the kinds of things that you can find at a big box store. We're really carrying the more bespoke items that are harder to find, that are more high performance, and that are specifically for Passive House. So as soon as those come our way, we'll be crowing about them like we were crowing today about some of our newer products. Thanks, Mark.
Mark, that's actually a specific conversation I've had with the ActiveAQ team is culinary habits are very wildly, and you have families where there's always something on. There's a curry going all day long. There's something just like long stick, or high temperature wok, or there's such a variety of culinary of the demands that different cuisines make on the range, and impact the air quality, that you need a robust enough filter to account for all of them, and that's definitely part of their approach. So we're pretty excited about that.
And while doing that, a filter that won't get clogged by all the greasy stuff that you're cooking. So
Exactly.
thank you.
Yeah.
This is sounding great.
Great.
Yeah, Mark, and that's a good point you bring up. And I will have to go back to the construction tech host and see if we can find some good stories to share. Because again, that's a great detail that there's lots of discussion. I know in my world, mechanical is where I'm diving into, mechanical rooms, and just the fact of we still have clients that want gas cooktops, and so that does need to have a good hood fan, which then means a makeup air unit, and so it gets tricky pretty quick of how to balance things. Shannon?
Yeah, I wanted to throw in a note about the product we talked about today, which is the climate adhesive. We didn't mention something pretty spectacular about that product. So it takes lateral loads that are hurricane force, like Cat 5 force, hurricane lateral loads, and it transfers them down and it goes into the foundation. So it holds the building up longer, and that's where we get that 250% strength over a typical hurricane strap. But if it fails, let's say we get a Cat 6, right? And it fails, it only fails at the sill plate. They've tested it for like 6 years. And so if it only fails at the sill plate, you can reuse your foundation during rebuild, which is a huge benefit to any area that's been wiped out during a hurricane. To have to dig up and replace foundations is such a big job, whereas just starting to frame right off of them again is not. The other thing that it does, and anyone who has built a passive house and done advanced framing knows, when you go 2 feet on center, your lateral loads can get a little tricky. And so this helps strengthen your lateral loads if you're doing advanced framing. So keep that in mind, that this is a tool you can use when your structural engineer says, hey, that glass house you're building with the 24-inch on center framing, it's going to blow over. This is a tool you can use. So reach out to us, learn more about that. But we're pretty excited about it. Thanks, Sean.
Great. We got a couple more questions. Bev?
I'd heard there's another saddle type heat pump coming. Do you guys know what that is and what timeline?
No.
Okay. And then in the retrofit space, getting gas out in these multifamilies that are existing, one of the big challenges, the electrical, even switching over to a regular electrical stove. And I know there's some movement towards induction or electric stoves that have an integrated battery, but slip into the more affordable housing size ranges that people have. Anything that you guys know about those? I know it's cutting edge stuff.
These are great questions, because I actually Googled, the saddle, and I'm like, okay, what else is out there? So I'm looking at what else is out there. You can get some at a big box store. You can get others from QVC. Are these passive house level? Are they airtight? Are they super insulated? Or are they just going to create a giant thermal bridge and another leaky condition when they're not turned on? And what are the cooling agents? So the cooling agents in the gradient have a low global warming potential. And that's why we love them. Not only are they for passive house, but that's one of the biggest problems out there, is taking care of those cooling agents. All of our passive houses, if we do carbon accounting on them, if those leak, it blows our numbers out of the water in about 1 second. So I don't know about the second one though.
So I think it's the NYCHA put out like a challenge, and that's where the gradient came out, and there were 2 chosen. And so I'm just sort of curious what's happened to that second one.
Me too.
You can ask NYCHA too.
Yes, please. We'd love to have a competitor on the site.
Well,
we'd like to have at least 3. Yeah, we'd like to have at least 3.
And then I think the stoves are doing like a clean heating for all kind of, or clean cooking for all kind of challenge. And I don't think those are market ready, but I thought maybe you guys had heard more.
I have heard about it a little bit. Rewiring America, I think, is even pushing for those. And other groups that are tied to Rewiring America are working towards this clean cooking challenge. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm right there waiting for more.
What the manufacturer was, but I emailed the induction manufacturer who was coming out with one of these battery products. I can try to look up who it is and send it to you guys.
Thanks, Jane. Yes, please.
They said the idea was that it could use a regular power outlet and that the battery would kick in to provide the extra power, and that you really only needed it like for a lot of normal everyday cooking. It didn't need it. It was just for, certain levels. So yeah, I'll look back in my emails and find out who it was that was working on it.
Yeah, you're jogging my memory. That would be great. Thank you, Jane. And you've helped us many times in the past with giving us great advice. So not only are we here to help you, but please help us. Tell us what works well. Tell us what you like and why we should carry it, because it's your reviews that make or break these products.
Yeah, great point, Shen. I mean, that's the whole thing about collaboration with this community is just that back and forth of, hey, do we like this product that's coming to the market? How can we help them out? Like you said before, is getting people to put it in, and sometimes, they put it in maybe the wrong way and found out a new way that it works out better or worse, and having those great conversations to ensure that the products that are going into our high performance homes are working to that satisfaction. So yeah, test and verify 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah, just to pick up on that point quickly, Sean. The whole point of the marketplace is to introduce transparency, right, into the decision making. We want to have competitors in every category exactly for that reason. We want you to be able to compare them side by side and choose on the actual specs, what they are able to do, what their performance science says they can do, and pricing and lead time. And we want to corral all this innovation into one place so it's organized and it makes sense and what to use, how to use it, and also be able to compare these products side by side. It's I think it benefits everybody to not just be beholden to what your distributor might have on the timeline that you need it, and just that's what you're gonna have to go with. You should be able to make this decision much more informed, not beholden to the marketing budgets of the incumbents or again who the distributors happen to carry. So that's hugely important to us to have competitors, and we're always solicitous whenever we have a project team we're working with. We ask if there's anything we don't have, tell us what we should have, and we can go out and onboard it. And a lot of our products today are there because of the first project teams we worked with, mentioning that there was a need, and we went out and found those products for that project team, and now they're available for everybody. So when those kinds of things come up, whether it's a specific product or just a thing that you don't know if it exists, but it'd be great if there was a solution, don't be shy with that stuff. That's hugely important for us, and you're helping the whole community because now it's available for everybody else. So
absolutely. Just like you won't put up with basic code, don't put up with basic products. Go higher, go better. I don't know if you all know Laura. She's online here. She's a good friend of mine. She's right here in Philly. But she wrote about integrity today on LinkedIn, and it really resonated with me because we look for third-party testing. We look to push the envelope literally and figuratively. And so if you don't like it, please tell us why, because we want to help everybody improve. And we want to share these solutions with everybody. So thanks so much for joining us today. Are there any other questions, Sean?
Yeah, Nathan had a question. Nathan, you're still with us? You wanted to, if he's not going to pop on now, go up, look at it. He did not see a photo of the saddle unit from the exterior.
Yeah.
Sorry, there.
Yeah. I went to that link that someone answered with a link, and there's a nice little graphic from the Gradient website that shows how it's installed. Do they float like that all by themselves too? And like if the video shows them flying on its own to install itself would
I'm going to show you my cottage project again. So there it is, floating on its own. It goes.
Well, no, I'm saying
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
The video in the Gradient website has an animation of the thing being installed, but it's floating by itself, kind of a little.
Oh yeah.
I have seen that magic. Yeah.
The levitation
Gravity.
Yes, the
Yeah,
levitation install, that'd be awesome if they could.
that's the white glove service. That's extra.
That's right. And
Yeah,
you can get that,
right.
you can give that to your structural engineer too and tell them apply this no gravity method to my building.
Yes. Yes.
I'll say it's really cool when you put it through the window like that and it lowers. It's got hydraulics. So
Yeah, it
lowers
looked
and
really
it just
interesting
clicks
how it
into
kind of
place.
drops itself
Yeah.
into space and onto the frame or whatever.
Yeah, it's wicked cool.
Very fun. Great. Well, thank you.
That's awesome. And I know I'm just watching it as we're chatting here. That's great stuff. Awesome.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you all for thank you, Sean and everyone else on the Passive House Accelerator team for inviting us. I think you have all of our links in the chat for the event next week and the ability to just sign up for a one-on-one when it works for you. We'd love to hear what you guys are working on and see how we can help.
Excellent, John. Kim, I think that is it for today. Again, if you're not aware what's happening next, always go to the Passive Accelerator webpage to see the events calendar, what's happening. As Kim mentioned earlier, we're back next Wednesday. Of course, it's a next gen series, and I look forward to hearing the speaker present about that. Otherwise, you got to see 3 smiley faces here, plus myself. Hopefully now it's I guess it's water break time or coffee time, depending on where you're at. And Mr. Ingwees might be a beer time because he's across the pond checking out the really good International Passives Conference in Innsbruck. So he's in a snowy peaked mountain area, and I'm sure he's going to find some great products to inquire, and hopefully we'll see on Source 2050 very soon. So yes, Justin, Shannon, John, appreciate everything you do. And Kim, if you got nothing else to add, you hit that ejection button, and we'll see you all next time.